My dad for years had a dream that he would discover the elephant's graveyard. Did you ever hear of the elephant's graveyard? Yeah, there was a belief in Indiana that all the old elephants, when they died, went to this place and dropped their tusks off. And if you found this place, you would be fantastic. You could open up a bowling alley. You know, you could open up a dog and suds and sell root beer, anything, you know. And my old man used to say, one day, I'm going to go and discover the elephant's graveyard. That was what he believed. You think Willie Loman had trouble. I mean, Willie had a chance of getting the orders. But my dad, going through the jungle wearing his straw hat, you know, with his suspenders on, with his bonds, pick 'em off the gas pipe rack suit, looking for the elephant's graveyard. What a play that would make. And then I could see the last scene. Here's the old man going through this cardboard jungle to an off-Broadway theater. And all the time he's been saying to the crowd, one day I'm going to discover the elephant's graveyard. And they say, oh, that poor soul. That poor man. Look at him. His dreams. That poor man. He says, yes, one day I'm going to discover the elephant's graveyard. One day the White Sox are going to win the pennant. They're going to win it, and I'm going to be there to watch them. One day I'm going to go to a ball game, and I'm going to catch a foul ball. And everyone says, oh, that poor dreamer. By the way, those were the only goals my father ever had in his life. You've just heard all of them. He wanted to catch a foul ball. And I'll tell you this, you want to hear the story of the foul ball? Year after year we went to the ball game, see. Here's the old man sitting there. He'd sit, see, with his hands. There had always been this story about, in our family, how the old man had been a great ball player. When he was a kid, see, he'd sit like this. And we are in the left field bleachers, always, upper deck. Well, I don't know whether you know anything about Comiskey Park. Believe me, they got to shoot it out of guns to get it up there. And with the White Sox bats, they're the only team that use balsa wood bats. You know, that's to give the crowd a thrill that bats would break once in a while, you know. So watching the old man, he's sitting up there, see, and this is what I'll always remember about Lou Gehrig. They're playing the Yankees. We are sitting 2 rows back, upper deck. Got it? Right field. You got it? Right next to the foul line. You got the picture? The flag went right up to the left of us, see. We're sitting. It's a doubleheader. Lou Gehrig is a tiny figure way down on the diamond, so far away, it's like looking at the world through the wrong end of a telescope. And you see this game being played out down there. And once in a while, the announcer would say, number 5, Lou Gehrig. The old man would say, it's Gehrig. He hits him up into this section. That's why he got those seats, see? We're sitting there, see? And this is a true story. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. It's a second game now. The Sox have dropped the first 17-2. Joe DiMaggio hit 5 successive home runs into left field, see? We're in right field. Lou Gehrig has popped up 4 straight times. Mike Tresh dropped his pop-ups 3 times. Now, that's a great scene, so we're sitting there all through the game. Nobody out at the White Sox park ever thought in terms of winning. They hoped they'd get a ball. You know, that kind of scene. Oh, yeah, and by the way, the White Sox were the only ball club where the ushers were instructed to take them away from you. So, you know, it was Indian wrestling up in the stand. You'd see this guy wrestling with a hot dog vendor, and the hot dogs are flying. Give me that ball back, you know. That's, the old man is sitting there, see. I'm sitting next to him. And whenever I hear the name Lou Gehrig, I remember this scene. It was a fantastic moment. We're sitting there. Second row from the, right here, and there's a row of guys sitting in front of us, see. Just sitting like that. Everybody's watching. Way down there's this little figure. 2 men on. And now, the White Sox pitcher, Ted Lyons. He's getting his sign, see. And the old man says, watch out. This is a typical Lou Gehrig spot. And he's got his hand. isn't that terrible when you think of a fan of the White Sox with his hands itching for a Lou Gehrig home run? And he's sitting there, see, like this. He says, watch him. And Gehrig was a left-handed hitter, see. His wide stance. He'd take a couple of big swish like that, swings. He was built like a wedge, just like that. And even from up there, we could see this guy was twice the size of anybody on the White Sox. At a big number 5, see. Takes a couple swings. He wiggles his behind. You know that snotty way that a left-handed slugger does? You ever seen Roger Maris do that? Boy, you know, that really, the pictures, you can just see him walking around out there. He does it again. That little wiggle, you know. Well, that's the scene that Lou Gehrig perfected that. He was menacing. Absolutely silent. He never said anything. And he took one swing on that first pitch, and I'll always remember it to my last day. That ball screaming right up at us. Up and up. It's coming right up at us. The old man says, here it comes! Here it comes! The entire section goes up like that, you know. 4 guys go overboard. Yeah, you see them just disappear into right field, you know. Down they go. That ball screamed up at us, and the old man, he's got his hands, and it goes, whoo! Right through his hands. It went 4 rows back of us. And it was that you hear this ball go clunk. It hit the seats. The old man leaps up again and back out on the field. And he sat there. Right through his hands. And the ball went back on the field. And Gehrig is trotting around the bases, you know. They take the pitcher out. The game goes on another 2 innings. Now the Yankees have got 2 more men on. Up steps big number 5. The old man says, okay, try that again. I mean, I'm serious. There was a game between the old man and Gehrig. He says, you chicken out this time. You try that again. He says, you caught me off balance. And I'm sitting there next to the old man, you know. At this point, you know, it's terrible. Kids go through their lives, you know, when they're real proud of their old man. And it was just at this point I'm beginning to realize the old man was faking his way. You know, he was ad-libbing his life, you know. And he says, all right, okay. And you could see, as you look down to the left and to the right, the whole row, White Sox fans. They knew what was going to happen. They've been out to this ballpark a long time, you know. And you can see the front row sitting there like that. And Gehrig takes one look up there, right field. He does this. And now the ace White Sox relief pitcher, who was the only relief pitcher I ever heard who had a 17.9 earned run average. 17.9 earned run average. He used to pitch to 1/3 of a batter. Yeah, talk about short man. He'd throw the first ball in, you know. And that was him. He's up there. He's getting ready to pitch his one ball that they let him throw. Yeah, you know, I think the greatest thing about it was this guy, one year, held out for more money. Now that's guts. That's courage. I mean, it says Charlie Brown with a 17.1 earned run average, ace relief pitcher of the White Sox, is holdout in Florida. I kind of like that kind of guts. Wouldn't you like to one day... Wouldn't it be great if life was like baseball? And the spring starts. It's May. And you walk into Mr. Bullard and you say, Bullard? And he says, yeah. You say, I'm holding out. I'm a holdout, Bullard. He says, you're a holdout? Yep, I'm just going to sit at my desk and look at the inbox. I'm holding out. I'm holding out for washroom privileges. You got to let me go to the toilet. And he says, labor's getting out of hand. Well, it was that kind of scene. And the old man is sitting there waiting. And now, this is a true story. In fact, the last time I told this story, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. One of the listeners to this show is Mrs. Lou Gehrig. a great lady. And every time I told this story, she has written me a note and said she remembers the day very well because of the uproar in the ballpark. She always traveled with the ball team. And so the old man is sitting, see. And down there, that menacing figure. Have you ever seen the Yankees in their gray traveling uniforms? They look lethal. I mean, they're just gray. Rotten. Oh, rotten. At that time, there was an advertising campaign that was going around called Tattletale Gray. And it was considered just a terrible thing. And the Yankees, with their gray suits, they had black socks, black hats. They were the epitome of the evil. And the White Sox, you know, they didn't wear regular baseball suits. They had white suits with bloomers. Yeah, they're funny how a ball team suit will affect its look and even its play on the field. The White Sox had these suits that went like that. They all looked like they were bad golfers. You know, they'd stand out there, and here was Lou Gehrig. They're all sitting. I'm a kid about to see one of the great things I've ever seen in my life. The old man is leaning forward. And Gehrig fouls one off. The first pitch, you know, he just gulped it. He swung on it, and that thing went, woo! You could see it screaming up into the upper deck. And it hit one of the big stanchions up there, you know, boom! Bounced all the way out to second base. The old man says, my God, he's turning on him. That, by the way, is a kid expression in baseball. Turning on him means to turn on him, you know. The ball players call it pulling. The old man says he's turning on him. Watch him. He's aiming for this section. He's leaning forward. This relief pitcher walks around. I like the way relief pitchers play it. You know, some of them have such fantastic style. You know, this. You know, the arm hangs like, boy, watch out for this lethal left arm. See? And he's got a little paunch hanging down, see? And you could see he's nearsighted. You know, this. And you say, oh, what did he shake off? You wonder what he shook off. What was it that he said no to? And the catcher's down there giving a signal, you know. He looks over to first base. It's a typical White Sox tableau. At the first base sack was Zeke Benura, known as Banana Nose Zeke. He was a first baseman that was made out of solid concrete. And he was known for his fielding area, which was about 10 inches to the left. He could go 7 inches to the right, see? Old Zeke is saying, let him hit it. Let him hit it. You can hear it all the way up into the deck. Everyone says, let him hit it. Let him hit it at Zeke with that big lead glove hanging there, you know. Oh, yeah, what a great ball team, see? And here's the relief pitcher looking down there like this, and 55,000 people are in the stands. The Yankees are on their way to the pennant. They got to win this game to take the pennant. They're about a half game in front. And the other team has already won its doubleheader. And the crowd is just, you know, you're just hanging on every pitch. And you can smell the stockyards. Oh, yeah, you know, nothing adds more to the enjoyment of a ball game than the sound of sheep being slaughtered. Yeah, the ballpark was right next to the stockyard. You could smell all this, and somehow it was so symbolic of the White Sox, you know. Yeah, it was all there, see. So he's looking down. Dramatic moment. The whole crowd sort of scrunches back in its seat. He glances at first. The runner scampers back. Wild Bill Dietrich's move to first was legendary. He telegraphed it 5 minutes in advance. So the runner had scampered back to first. Wild Bullfrog Bill Dietrich. And he was known as Wild Bill for very good reasons. He glances to third, and the other runner is just sort of moving off. You know that move like this? He's moving off. Bullfrog. He has just shaken off the third pitch. And we know that he's only got two. He's got the slow one into the dirt. He's got the rising one that goes in the screen. Well, he wound up, and I'll tell you, the old man says, watch it, watch it. Bullfrog goes back. He lets that ball go, and I don't think that bat traveled 15 inches. He just caught it. Right on the fat part. You know that great sound when something really hits? It just went pop like that. And that ball is screaming right at us again. The old man says, here it comes! The whole stand, here it comes! The old man's got it. He takes his hat off. He holds it up. Boom! He's got this circle of straw. The crown of the old man's hat went 17 rows back of the exit sign. And he sat there. I'll tell you the truth, he sat there. And you know, it was one of those terrible moments, and the entire stands broke up. You know, oh! The old man sits down like that. He's put his hat on, you know, it's all weird. You know, and I'm sitting there next to him. I'm trying to pretend this big fat lady next to me is my dad. Oh, what a terrible moment. You know, this hat is all scrunched like that. And you know, from that day on, the old man had this myth going that Lou Gehrig was out after it. Oh, yeah. He'd read. I remember sitting, you know, in the kitchen. He's sitting like this. He's got the paper. He would always read the sport page first. In fact, that's all he read. He didn't really read it, you know. He'd look at the box scores, see. Every time my dad saw a box score, he saw an entire play by Tennessee Williams. You know, defeat, success. He saw poignancy, drama, the whole bit. And he'd sit there, and one word he'd say all the time: that damn Gehrig. My mother'd say, what did he do now? The old man would say, nothing. He'd say, what did he do? Nothing. And I would get the paper, and it would say, Gehrig slams 3. He was my father's enemy ever since that happened. But you know, I want to tell you one thing. The White Sox won that ball game. They won that ball game. Luke Appling got up to bat with 2 men on. Remember the scene. The score is 8-7. Typical White Sox tussle. Luke Appling is at bat, 2 men on. It's getting dark out. No lights. It's getting dark. You can smell the stockyards. And Luke is fouling off foul balls. You ever seen a great foul ball hitter at work? Yeah, I mean, Luke was great. I mean, he'd pull this way. He'd bunt. He'd put him up in the screen. Yeah, then he'd push him off that way. Then he'd hit one down in the third, you know. He'd always choke up on the bat. He's punching them like that, see. 1, 2, you know, 3, 4. And the pitcher, I remember the pitcher, one of the big Yankee pitchers, Spud Chandler was, famous pitcher. And Chandler is on his way to win 38 games or 52 or something, you know. He won more games than the White Sox entire pitching staff together, you know. And Luke is like this. Think, think. He'd stand. He had this funny batting stance like this. He'd get lower and lower. Yeah, real low. And then at the last instant, he'd go think. Then he'd wait. Then he'd relax. He's in the Hall of Fame now for this, by the way. Then he would step back in again. And Chandler is throwing. Ball after ball. Ball after ball. 10 straight foul balls. 15 foul balls. It's now getting dark. You can hear the crickets. Yeah, you can hear the frogs out in the swamp, you know. And he's still throwing balls in there like that. And now there's 16, and everybody's sitting there. Come on, Luke. Come on. Give him another one, Luke. Hey, Luke, come on. Give him another one. And Chandler's bugged. He's walking around like this. He's throwing him in like that. You know? You know, it's the fact, come on, hit it, you know. And Luke would go, pink. Ooh, he's getting teed off, see. 17 straight foul balls. And the crowd is just on edge. Fantastic moment. When all of a sudden, so help me, out of the White Sox dugout came this head. The crowd is silent. It is Charlie Comiskey, who owns the club. I mean, this was a legendary figure, you know, like Dan Topping. Here's this great big head comes out. He looks out across the diamond, and Luke has fouled off 17 balls. And he hollers, Luke! Everybody looks. Luke Appling steps out of the box, looks back. He says, Luke! Them balls are $1.75 each! And the whole crowd, you know. You know, the White Sox had not had a paying customer since May, you know. So the whole crowd is sitting there, come on, Luke, come on, show him who's boss. I'm a kid, you know. Come on, Luke, don't chicken out. Don't chicken out. And Chandler winds up and he lets one go, and Luke reaches out and belts that son of a gun all the way to the scoreboard, a triple. And the entire crowd realized that Luke Appling had chickened out. Luke Appling had let us all down. The boss told him to cut out hitting foul balls, and he belted a triple. And the runners came around, and the old man jumped up out of the darkness. Remember the scene? He jumped up out of the darkness, and he let that hat go. Have you ever seen pictures of guys throwing straw hats? The old man was one of the greatest straw hat throwers in the history of the American League. He just went, whoo, you know, and that hat sailed out over that dark diamond, made a big turn at left field, and headed in towards second base. Yeah, and Luke Appling is running around second, you know. He sees that straw hat, and he slides into third base, and the crowd went out of its skull. It was the greatest freestyle straw hat throw in the history of Comiskey Park. And I sat there and I said, that's my dad. Oh, man, you know.